Hello, I'm Jamir and you're watching HornbillTV's Prime at 9. Now, news in details. The second meeting of Core Committee on Naga political issue with the 7 NNPGs was held today at Police Complex, Chumuketima. The leader of UDA, Dr. T.R. Ziliang, after the meeting informed media persons that he, along with the Chief Minister and Deputy Chief Minister, will be meeting the Union Home Minister on March 10 for further deliberation on the issue. Meanwhile, Ziliang said the committee had requested the groups not to engage in paper wars and allow the interlocutor a free mind to come to conclusion. Isaac Sumi also said that the discussion, which was very fruitful, was about exploring ways to have a fruitful culmination of the peace process.
We had a very fruitful discussion, free and frank, without any reservation. Our main discussion today was to find means and ways as to push forward the Naga peace process in order to have a logical conclusion at an earliest. So primarily the discussion was about exploring the means and ways in order to have a fruitful culmination of the entire peace process. So that was the primary discussion, and it was very free and frank. So I think it was a very successful discussion.
And there has also been speculations that the interlocutor is going to hold meetings with
this month before the meeting.
Yeah. So can you is it
no, in fact I don't have a specific, I cannot suggest any specific date, but with all the electioneering process that's going to be over, I think some indication has been given in order to again give push to the process. That's all I can say at the moment.
Now this is the second time we met these 7 NNPGs towards Naga solution. So our core committee of this parliamentary committee, we have discussed with them and we requested them not to have paper war with the other group or with any political party, so that the interlocutor will have a free mind to come to a conclusion. And we have informed them that Chief Minister, myself, Deputy Chief Minister, we are going to Delhi on 10 to meet central leaders, including Home Minister. So we will discuss with them what best central government is thinking for Naga solution. With that commitment, we'll come back and talk to these 2 negotiating groups so that they have to come together across the table and discuss and agree to come to a conclusion. That is what we have requested them.
So there has been speculations that the interlocutor is planning to hold meetings with the groups. So can you say something on that, sir?
The meeting with this 7 NNPG group or ADSN IM group, we are not aware of that. But he was supposed to meet 3 of us, Chief Minister, Deputy CM and myself, first week of January. But because of this election, all are busy, so they could not turn up. Because of that, we are going to meet Home Minister so that we will also hear from them the last word, what best they can offer for the Nagas.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Core Committee of the Parliamentary Committee for the Naga Peace Talk aru NNPG Khanpraji Police Complex the meeting rakhi na thagise. To itu meeting the amikhan former Chief Minister T.R. Ziliang lore janise. Takhan Chief Minister of Nagaland Sri Nifurio, Deputy CM Waipatan aru pai milai kena takhan date 10th of March te Delhi de takhan Amit Shah lo der ekbar log kurina aru itu Naga Peace Talk opor aru kotha tu aru lui jabola si kina janise aru logo de amikhan ete NNPG laga secretary lo de bi janise takhan ajila meeting tu bisi khushi paise eneko kina amikhan janise mohan itu report toile police complex hall de luise moi reporter Jivan Rai with camera person CFVile for HornbillTV.
Commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the Department of Employment, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship in Kohima, under the initiative of the Ministry of Labour and Employment, began its week-long observance of Iconic Week today at the Directorate of Employment, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship in Kohima. In her inaugural speech, R. Senla Ketsar, Commissioner and Secretary for Labour and Employment, Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, said India celebrates Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to remind people of the great Indian journey of independence and progress towards prosperity. Further, in his welcome address, Chiden Yadan, Director of Employment Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, said the department is taking up many activities for the youths of Nagaland.
You will find that while times have changed, the indefatigable aspiration and determination is constant even today. In fact, I dare to say this. This is the best time to be alive. Your generation, the younger generation, witnessed the rise of the biggest revolution since industrial revolution, the internet. It was your generation that ushered in the digital age, and almost overnight, the entire world became your playground.
I would like to give some information. Like, we are taking up so many initiatives for the youths of Nagaland. And for example, like in the field of aviation, tourism and hospitality, our Naga boys and girls are in very high demand, this market. Because I think all across the country and even beyond India, till last week we have sent so many youths for example, like in 5-star hotels in the Arab countries, airlines, and different 5-star hotels, and like they are still asking for Naga youth for their employees. So since we know that government job is now saturated, I would advise all of you to just apply for those kind of trainings in placement. Another point.
Principal Director of School Education, Srinivas, launched a Shazer multi-nutrient health mix to school children today at the Government Middle School in Kohima. Speaking at the program, Srinivas said the department will take up the pilot project for 3 months covering 2,624 schools in 3 districts, Pek, Kohima and Kifire, for providing Sai-Sure multi-nutrient health mix to school children under a CSR pilot project through the Sri Satya Annapurna Trust. He said that the projects will benefit students. Srinivas said that in a state like Nagaland, midday meals under the Pradhan Mantri Bhoshan is a very peculiar situation here because the food habit is very different, for which midday meals do not reach the much coverage in hilly and tribal state like Nagaland.
So, a brief about our trust. We formed this trust in the year 2015 with the intention of providing morning nutrition to address a hidden hunger in the children for going in the government schools. So we started small with around 50 children, and slowly we increased in numbers. We saw the requirement coming from various places, and from the last 6 years we were able to touch up to 5 lakh children, and we have covered now, including the Sikkim launch which was happened recently in March 4th, 3 days ago. We have touched 20 states and 3 union territories. And today, I think Nagaland will be the 21st state to be introduced in this scheme of our vision. So our vision of Annapurna Trust is let no child go to school hungry ever.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Monday held a telephone conversation with Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky amid the ongoing with Russia and sought continued support from his government for the evacuation of Indian nationals from Sumy. The Prime Minister also appreciated the continuing direct dialogue between Ukraine and Russia, Government of India sources informed. In a phone that lasted for about 25 minutes, PM Modi thanked President Zelensky for the help extended by the government of Ukraine in the evacuation of Indian nationals from Ukraine. As per the sources, the two leaders discussed the evolving situation in Ukraine. PM Modi also spoke to Russian President Putin and urged him to hold direct talks talks with the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. The phone call went on for about 50 minutes, according to reports. On the occasion of Jan Ayushadi Divas, Prime Minister Narendra Modi interacted with Jan Ayushadi Kendra owners and beneficiaries of the Jan Ayushadi Yojana on March 7 virtually. Addressing the interaction session, Modi said the government has decided that half the seats in private medical colleges will be charged at par with government medical colleges. The theme of the event is Jan Ayushadi Jan Upyogi. Jan Ayushadi Week is being celebrated across the country from March 1 to generate awareness about the usage of generic medicines and the benefits of Jan Ayushadi Pariyojana.
टीबी डायबिटीज टीबी हो या डायबिटीज हो, हृदय रोग हो, ऐसी बीमारियों के इलाज के लिए जरूरी 800 से ज्यादा दवाइयों की कीमत को भी नियंत्रित किया है। सरकार ने यह भी सुनिश्चित किया है कि स्टेंट लगाने और नील इम्प्लांट की कीमत भी नियंत्रित रहे। इन फैसलों से गरीबों के करीब करीब 13,000 करोड़ रुपए बच पाए हैं। जब गरीबों और मध्यम वर्ग के हितों के बारे में सोचने वाली सरकार होती है तो सरकार के ये फैसले जन सामान्य को लाभ करते हैं और जन सामान्य भी एक प्रकार से इस योजनाओं का एम्बेसडर बन जाता है। साथियों, कोरोना के समय में दुनिया के बड़े बड़े देशों में वहां के नागरिकों को एक एक वैक्सीन के हजारों रुपए देने पड़े हैं।
The CBI has arrested Chitra Ramkrishna, former Chief Executive Officer of the National Stock Exchange. She was taken into custody in New Delhi on Sunday after a court rejected her anticipatory bail plea. Chitra Ramkrishna served as NSE's CEO between 2013 and 2016. The 59-year-old has been on the CBI's radar in connection with a probe involving former NSE employee Anand Subramanian. She had been accused of sharing confidential information about the National Stock Exchange via email with a yogi who lives in the Himalayas. It is suspected that this yogi was actually Anand Subramanian, who was arrested in connection with the case earlier this month. NCP leader and Maharashtra Minister Nawab Malik has been sent to judicial custody by a special PMLA court on Monday in connection with Dawood Ibrahim's money laundering case. He had been in the custody of the enforcement director since February 23. Before taking Malik to the court appearance, he was taken to the JJ hospital in Mumbai for his medical checkup. Earlier in February, the ED conducted raids at the residence of Dawood Ibrahim's sister, Hasina Barkar, in Mumbai in connection with the money laundering case. Searches were carried out by the ED at several places linked to people associated with the underworld in Mumbai, informed sources said. Meanwhile, Bharatiya Janata Party has demanded the resignation of Malik, but the Mahavikas Agati, comprising Shiv Sena Congress and NCP, has rejected the demand. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, while speaking at the Golden Jubilee celebration of Symbiosis University in Pune, Maharashtra, said that the government has successfully managed the situation in Ukraine and evacuated thousands of students safely from the war-hit country. Even big countries facing difficulty in doing so, but it's India's increasing resilience that 1,000 of students have been evacuated, said the Prime Minister. Your generation is fortunate to not have experienced defensive and dependent, and the credit should be given to the youth, all of you, for the change that has been brought in the country, he added.
यूक्रेन संकट के समय भी देख रहे हैं कि कैसे ऑपरेशन गंगा चलाकर भारत अपने नागरिकों को युद्ध क्षेत्र से सुरक्षित बाहर निकाल रहा है। दुनिया के बड़े बड़े देशों को ऐसा करने में कई मुसीबतें झेलनी पड़ रही हैं, लेकिन ये भारत का बढ़ता हुआ प्रभाव है कि हम हजारों छात्रों को वहां से अपने वतन वापस ला चुके।
An Indian student who had sustained bullet injuries while trying to escape Kyiv in a taxi on February 27 has been successfully evacuated from conflict-hit Ukraine. Harjot Singh, 31, Monday crossed Ukraine's border and entered neighboring Poland. Indian diplomats were present when Singh crossed the Ukrainian border today. At the border, the Indian national was shifted into an ambulance provided by the Polish Red Cross, stated Punit Singh Chandok, president of the Indian World Forum. He was then escorted to an Indian Air Force plane that will bring him and other Indians back to India from Poland. Union Minister General V.K. Singh, who is coordinating evacuation efforts in Poland, had stated yesterday that Singh will be brought back to India today. With just weeks away from the 15th edition of the Indian Premier League, BCCI Vice President Rajiv Shukla on March 7 said that this league will be more excited than any of its previous exciting. The schedule of IPL starting from March 28 has been ready and the first match will be between Kolkata and Chennai, he said. 2 teams have been increased this time, and this time there will be a total of 74 matches, and this IPL will be even more exciting than before, he said.
26 मार्च से आईपीएल शुरू होगा, उसका शेड्यूल हो गया। 4 जगह 4 सेंटर्स हैं, 3 मुंबई, मतलब एक वानखेड़े, एक सीसीआई और एक डीवाई पाटिल और एक पुणे का, और चारों जगह 26 मार्च से शुरू होकर पहला मैच चेन्नई और कलकत्ता के बीच में है और बहुत सक्सेसफुल सीजन रहेगा। मुझे ऐसी उम्मीद है कि इस बार का आईपीएल और अधिक सफल होगा पिछले एडिशंस के मुकाबले।
2 टीमें और बढ़ाई गई है सर। 2 टीमें और बढ़ी।
हाँ, 2 टीमें और बढ़ी, इसीलिए मैं कह रहा हूँ कि इस बार 74 मैच होंगे, तो 2 टीमें और बढ़ने से काफ़ी फर्क पड़ेगा और रोमांचक हो जाएगा।
Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath urged all voters to exercise their franchise in the last phase of assembly elections on Monday to ensure good governance. As the Uttar Pradesh Assembly reached its last leg, Adityanath told ANI that the voters are enthusiastic about voting. Meanwhile, a total of 2.06 crore are eligible to cast their votes in the final phase of the polls in the state, with 613 candidates in the fray, including a few of the ministries in the Yogi Adityanath government in the state.
उत्तर प्रदेश विधानसभा चुनाव का आज अंतिम चरण है। 7वें चरण का चुनाव तिथि 7 मार्च और प्रातः 7 बजे से प्रारंभ हुआ है। 54 विधानसभा सीटों पर आज चुनाव हो रहे हैं। मेरी सभी मतदाता भाइयों बहनों से अपील है कि वे अधिक से अधिक संख्या में जाकर के अपने मताधिकार का प्रयोग करें। मेरी अपील है सभी मतदाता भाइयों बहनों से कि सुरक्षा, समृद्धि और सुशासन के लिए प्रदेश के अंदर हम भारत निर्वाचन आयोग के द्वारा दी गई व्यवस्था के अंतर्गत अधिक से अधिक संख्या में जाएं और हर वयस्क मतदाता अपने मताधिकार का प्रयोग करें।
Female students face hardships due to lack of toilet facilities at Government Middle School at AG Colony in Patna. The school lacks proper toilet facilities for students, and girl students face a lot of trouble due to the lack of toilet facilities at the school, a teacher said. As a result, the students consume less water, the teacher said. Union Housing and Urban Affairs Minister Ardip Singh Puri informed that around 889 Indian nationals are returning to their home country.
After the 5 flights today, the figure should be close to 6,200. But you know, you can never be absolutely precise because some people who came to Hungary registered, others we had to issue an advisory today to say that these are the last flights going out. So all I can tell you is that I have the figure of yesterday, 5,200 approximately, and today another 889, and making allowance for a month, so we'll have full 5 flights today. So a total over 6,100, 200.
Polling for the last phase of the assembly election in Uttar Pradesh has been concluded. Till 5 p.m. a voter turnout of over 54.18% was recorded in the state. A total of 613 candidates are in the electoral fray for the 54 assembly constituencies spread across 9 districts of the state. Voting for the last phase of the 7th phase Uttar Pradesh elections began at 7 a.m. on March 7 and will continue till 6 p.m. The counting of votes will take place on March 10. Union Minister for Ports, Shipping and Waterways Sarbananda Sonowal and Assam Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma on Sunday flagged off the reception of pilot cargo vessel from Patna River Ganga to Pandu Port, Guwahati. A cargo vessel carrying 200 MT of food grains from Patna arrived at Pandu Port, Guwahati, traversing 2,350 kilometers through the Indo-Bangladesh protocol route.
अच्छा, आज तक राहुल गांधी जी के एक भी ट्वीट का मतलब है क्या? झूठ के पुलिंदा के अलावा कुछ है नहीं। उनकी समझदारी ही वैसी है। पूरे भारतवर्ष के लोग यह देख रहे हैं और माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी को आशीर्वाद भी दे रहे हैं, उनकी सराहना भी कर रहे हैं और उनके जस की गुणगान भी कर रहे हैं कि भारतीयों को आज किस प्रकार से सुरक्षित ढंग से इंडिया वापस लाया जा रहा है।
Amid the Russian military operation in Ukraine, German ambassador to India Walter J. Linder on March 6 lauded India for its excellent diplomatic service and urged the countries to stand together against the prevailing situation in the war-hit country.
India has excellent diplomatic service. I worked also in the United Nations, and among the very best diplomats were the Indian diplomats. So they know what to do. But of course, worldwide, wherever we speak, people have same opinion. They say it's not only about Ukraine, it's not only about the European Union or NATO. It's about the global world order. Do we want that this kind of massive, aggressive attack on a neighbor, a peaceful neighbor and democratic neighbor, is the new rule of the game? This will be following Putin's course, and that's why it's so dangerous. That's why we all have to stand together and say, no, Putin, stop it.
Union Minister of State for Home Affairs Nityanand Rai slammed Rahul Gandhi for his defaming tweet on the government's efforts for the stranded Indian nationals in Ukraine. Deputy Commissioner of Bangalore Urban District J. Manu Janat informed that 254 out of 472 students from Bangalore who were stranded in Ukraine have returned back to India.
The total number of students stranded from Bangalore urban, the original number was 472. 472, out of which 254 have returned. We are happy to say that. Only 158 more are stranded, whom we want to bring them as quickly as possible back to Bangalore. So towards this front, we have formed multiple teams. Get their local contact number, their local address, and our revenue officials are reaching out to each one of their families, trying to instill confidence in them.
That's all we have for now. Keep watching Hornbill TV.